Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today in that presentation, which is Chapter 2, Part 2 of Framework for the PMP exam preparations. My name is Michel Zibara, and I'm going to walk you through that presentation. Frequently asked, frequently used tools and techniques for in, in PMP mainly. What are they? Just at a very high level, I'm gonna walk you through these tools and techniques, and then later on, we are going to go deep into the detailed explanation of each and every technique because they are key techniques to pass the PMP exam. Before we go through them, there are two presentations in my PMI PBA playlist. I'm gonna insert in the description box below the links to this presentation, and they are mainly overlapping. They have overlapping concepts between what I am presenting here and the presentations that have been recorded already there. Okay, so mainly if you go to needs assessment, that's I think it's chapter 1 of PMI PBA. And if you go to elicitation and analysis, you will find some of the tools and techniques which are overlapping with what I'm discussing here. But don't worry, later through the PMP course, we're gonna go in discussing each and every technique in details and giving examples about these techniques. For now, we're just going to familiarize ourselves, just to discuss a little bit, get your ears familiar with such terminology, such tools and techniques, in order for us to warm up and get to them later through our next presentations. Data gathering for collecting input from stakeholders. We have benchmarking. These are the techniques that are used to collect data from our stakeholders. We have benchmarking, we have interviews, we have brainstorming, market research, checklists, questionnaires, and surveys. And each and every technique is advised to be used in a specific scenario. So when do we use these techniques? What are they about? How do we perform this technique? What are we going to achieve as an outcome from these techniques? All of this, don't worry about it. We are going to go through it in the next presentations. For data analysis, we have a set of techniques such as root cause analysis, SWOT, or what is called strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, cost benefit analysis, which is a ratio of benefit over the cost. It's a factor of, it's a ratio. The higher, the better, of course. Document analysis, as the name indicates, we go back to documents and researches, and we try to analyze these documents. Earned value analysis, we're going to discuss that in deep. Assumptions and constraints. What's the difference between assumptions and constraints? We have said it before. Assumptions is based on an expectation. Constraint is based on a fact. Assumption might not happen. Constraint must happen. Performance reviews, what-if analysis, simulations, and reserve analysis. All of these are part of data analysis tools and techniques. Examples of data analysis tools and techniques. Data representations, tools and techniques. Examples such as cause and effect diagram, or what is called Ishikawa or fishbone diagram. Probability and impact matrices, release maps, flow charts or process charts, control charts, and histograms. I would like to mention that whatever I am listing from tools and techniques, they are not all of them. These are the frequently used ones, right? Of course, we're going to cover them, and we are going to cover more in the next presentations. Decision-making tools and techniques, such as FIST of 5, multi-criteria decision analysis, and voting. Communication, we have active listening, that's a tool used and a technique used. We have appreciative inquiry, feedback, presentations, communication technology and methods, meeting management. Interpersonal, or what is called soft skills and team skills, such as conflict management, cultural awareness, motivation, negotiation, networking, observation, conversation, political awareness, team building, leadership, influencing, emotional intelligence, and facilitation, moderation. Estimating tools and techniques such as analogous, bottom-up, parametric, top-down, expert judgment, and planning poker. There are some interesting techniques and tools such as games, such as planning poker. I'm not going to discuss deep now because we're gonna run through each and every technique and explain in detail each one and give examples about them. Project Management Information System, or its acronym PMIS, is part of the enterprise environmental factors. It includes tools such as scheduling software, a configuration management software, work authorization software, shared workspaces, historical information, procurement management software. It is used in the planning, execution, and control and monitoring processes. So all of the PMIS is mainly used in planning, executing, and control and monitoring. Expert judgment, of course, as the name indicates, subject matter experts or expert judgment. Meetings is a tool or a technique. Work performance data, information, and report. To give you a quick example, when we talk about work performance data, for instance, let's say I have a work activity to be completed and I've planned, for instance, 20 hours to complete in the planning, 20 hours to complete that work activity with 10 resources. So if one resource, for instance, or the 10 resources were able to achieve 10 hours or 5 hours per day, that is a data extracted from the project. So that's work performance data. And then later on, it's analyzed to measure it against the plan and get the work performance information in order to be able to be ready to generate reports, progress reports, and project reports. Project selection. For every project selection, there is a set of process and steps each organization follows to be able to select or prioritize a project over the other. In that slide, I'm going to cover some economic measures for project selection, such as ROI, return on investment, present value, PV, net present value, internal rate of return, payback period or break-even period. That's the break-even point before making profit when the total investment is returned back to the organization. Cost-benefit analysis, as we said, that's a ratio of benefits over cost, benefits divided by the cost. Opportunity cost, as an example, let's say I have two projects, Project A and Project B. Project A has a higher ROI than Project B. Therefore, the organization proceeds with Project A. Therefore, the opportunity cost here is Project B, which is the project that hasn't been chosen and the cost of that project. So that's the opportunity cost. Sunk costs is spent cost that cannot be recovered. For instance, let's say halfway through the project, the project has been terminated. Whatever has been spent on the project is a lost cost, and therefore it is spent and cannot be recovered. Therefore, the organization forgets about it. Law of diminishing returns. In a summary explanation, when we say law of diminishing returns, we say, let's say I have two resources on a work activity. If I add a third resource, I might be able to expedite and finish the work activity faster. If I add a fourth resource, I might be able to finish a bit faster. If I start adding 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 resources, that's an overkill where it will no longer expedite expedite finishing the work activity, and it will be the same with 10 resources executing that work activity. It would be the same as 5 resources. So it's a point where when we start adding, we are no longer getting the productivity, and that is called law of diminishing returns. Working capital is the investment to start the project. Depreciation, we have in economics or in financial or accounting terms what is called depreciation. So let's say the organization procured an asset. The asset value after 1 year will decrease, after 2 years will decrease, after 3 years, for example, will decrease, and let's assume after 4 years the value of that asset procured by the organization is 0 if I want to sell it after 4 years. So we have a straight line and accelerated type of depreciation. Straight line, it's a constant. I know every year at the end of the year how much it's depreciating. Accelerated, it is not a constant. It's a fluctuating. It's a fluctuating or a non-constant value of depreciation after the end of every year. And in accelerated, we have double declining balance and sum of the years digit. We don't need to worry about the details of such. Whatever I've covered is enough for the PMP. You guys will never even get any question about that on the project management exam. Project roles, when we say who is involved in the project, we say project manager, sponsor, initiator, product manager, project team, stakeholder, functional or resource manager, program and portfolio manager. This is what you will hear when we say project roles. Speaking of the project manager, it's always a good project manager exerts a balance between management and leadership. So what is the definition of management versus what's different in management than leadership? I'm going to explain it in brief. So when we say management, we talk about commands, we talk about tasks assigned, we talk about control, we speak of efficiency, of doing the right things, of doing things right. Doing the right things is a leadership skill. Speed, practices, command. So it's mainly a dictatorship. Style in managing things, right? So command, I assign task, you have to finish it. If you don't finish it, I will ask the team. As a project manager, if I'm exerting too much management, I am becoming like a policeman, right? When we speak of leadership, a leader is focused more on people, on empowering the people, making them more effective, focused on doing the right things. Is mainly focused or provides or envisage directions for the team, show them the way, let them lead and lead them from behind, adhere to principles and focus and concentrate more on communication and conversation and dialogue. That's the leadership style in project manager. So a balance between management and leadership style is what is recommended for a successful project manager. Sometimes a project manager in certain areas need to exert more leadership style, and sometimes the project manager knows when to exert more management style to ensure project success. Right? So that is in brief. Project sponsor, initiator, that's the funding party, as the name indicates. So he's the champion of the project. The project sponsor is the champion. The project sponsor is the funding party. The project sponsor supports, and we're going to discuss more about the responsibilities. So I'll stop at that point and we will talk more about that. Product manager is the equivalent of project sponsor, but in agile terminology or agile approach. Project team is the guys that are assigned to the project and executing the deliverables. Stakeholders are the party which is negatively or positively influenced or impacted by the project outcome. Functional or resource manager, that is the party that is responsible for assigning resources when the project is short of resources. Program and portfolio. Program is what we have. Program manager is a manager assigned to or accountable over or oversees a set of related projects in an organization. Portfolio manager is at a higher step, is a manager which oversees and controls a set of related and unrelated programs and projects. Project manager responsibilities. The project manager helps write the project charter. He applies project management skills and interpersonal and leadership skills to achieve project success. He, the project manager, identifies and analyzes constraints and assumptions. He, the project manager, lead and direct project planning. He also identifies dependencies between activities, produces a realistic schedule, develops time and cost reserves, finalizes and gain approval of the project management plan. That's very important. Please focus on that. So without a finalized approved project management plan from the sponsor, the project is deemed to failure. That is a step or a process that the project manager should never omit. Builds, develops, and empower teams. He, the project manager, he or she, the project manager, uses rewards and recognition. He or she solve problems. The project manager. The project manager set quality metrics with stakeholders and share lessons learned. What also the project manager does and is responsible for on the project, he or she, they are responsible for making the right decisions, difficult and tough decisions, and right decisions. They also monitor risks, they manage stakeholders' expectations, and they manage and control resources. Project manager assess and evaluate change requests following change control process. So the project manager should not say no directly to any change request. However, the project manager is entrusted and accountable by the organization to be able to absorb change requests, assess them and analyze them against cost and schedule plans. What would be the impact of that change on the cost? What impact would that change exert on the schedule? How much delays? How long would it stretch the plan to the right? And what additional risks will it impose? What quality risks? What quality issues might be a result of that change? What is the impact on the resources? So all of this analysis is the responsibility of a project manager, which is supposed to do it on the project and raise it to the change control board to gain authorization and acceptance of that change. And if that is accepted, the project manager would be able to ask for more budget to cover that, to cover the schedule and gain of the final acceptance, which will definitely be executed and implemented by the team. The project manager is also responsible for shielding the team from interference and performing project closing. Project sponsor responsibilities. The project sponsor mainly provides funding to the project. He or she provides high-level requirements, provide information regarding the initial scope of the project, participates in the business case development, help to define measurable objectives, serve as a voice of the project or spokesperson to upper management, help with setting priorities between projects, and help provide inputs to developing the project charter. The project sponsor is also responsible to identify risks, help the project manager with identifying risks. Project sponsor determines the reports needed by the management to oversee the projects, approves the final project management plan, we have spoken about that, support the project manager and resolve conflicts, whenever the project manager is not able or capable of resolving these conflicts, the project sponsor will step in and will support the project manager to help resolve these conflicts. The project sponsors shield the project from outside influences, as does the project manager also. The project sponsor enforces quality policies. He or she provides expert judgment, approves, rejects, or defers changes in the change control board. The project sponsor is a member of the CCB, and he approves and rejects or delays changes. Remember that the project sponsor is the champion of the project. The project sponsor works with the project manager to monitor progress. Team responsibilities. What are the team responsible for on a project? They help identify and involve stakeholders, of course. They assist the project manager in that task. They identify requirements. They help identify constraints and assumptions. They create work breakdown structures, or the equivalent of that, which is the product backlog in agile methodology. Decompose work packages into activities or stories into tasks. Stories into tasks, that's agile. We're going to talk about that. They provide schedule and cost estimates. They help the project manager build the schedule management plan and the cost management plan. The team participate in the risk management process and help the project manager develops the risk management plan. The team comply with the quality and communication plans. They execute the project management plan. They implement approved changes, and they contribute to lessons learned, and they share knowledge with the team, with each other, and with stakeholders. Stakeholders' responsibilities. Notice that I have included the word help in brackets to ensure that these are the responsibilities which the stakeholders will help in each one of them. When we say help, we speak of a stakeholder helping identify requirements, stakeholder helping identify constraints and assumptions, helping in identifying and managing risks, helping in identifying issues, helping in documenting lessons learned, helping in providing expert judgments. Stakeholders are members of the change control board, which will approve and authorize changes, and they will authorize budget increments, and they will authorize longer schedules or schedule delays. The stakeholders are responsible helping creating the project charter and project scope statement. They can be risk owners, or they will be risk owners. They participate in stage gates or what is called phase gate reviews. They are involved in project governance or organization governance. They approve project changes. With that, we have reached our final slide. I would like to thank each one of you for watching that presentation. If you like that presentation, please hit the like button, subscribe to that channel, share it with a colleague that is preparing for PMP. Definitely that will help him or her in their presentation. With that, I would like to conclude and hope to see you in the next presentation. Thank you again, and bye-bye.